Good evening, chaps. How are you? Cheers. It's been a bit of a fraught one today. Let me just have a glug of this and I'll tell you all about it. Oh, dear me. Yes. First of all, apologies for the slightly false start earlier on. It took me a little while to when I started doing these streams on Zoom to figure out how to kind of get Zoom and YouTube working together. And to cut a long story short, I figured it out and I got pretty slick at it. And you copy and paste this from this box into that box and, and on. And yeah, it was working and it worked for a few weeks. And then suddenly I went to do it today and, it's just all completely changed. Someone at either Zoom or at YouTube has decided to mess with the settings or mess with the procedures for no apparent reason. And suddenly you have to, it's basically, I ended up going live without intending to. So I think I've managed to get all of the errant live streams deleted that were like about 8 seconds long, where it was just me kind of coming out with multiple expletives and give me strength. So I think I've got all that. Yes, as someone said, who said that? I can't. Yes, Jimmy James, white balance looks great today. Yes, that's another thing I've been doing. Sorting out the settings on this webcam. Let's have a traditional look at. Let's take the register. Who have we got in? David Evans is the first one in today. Hi, John. Hi, all. Yes, as you can tell, I'm now using a different streaming service by the little mallard duck in the corner of the screen there. I'm using StreamYard now, and I must admit, I do like this this ability to just click on a comment and put it on screen. Very, very slick. Let's who we got in? Evening, Craig. I see we've got in. Oh, I haven't looked earlier. We've got Malcolm Spillett. We've got Colin Falcon, Brian Wells, John Channing, Deco Dude, Kieran Roberts. We've got Ian Clark, Sean House. We've got Brian Wells, Lee's in, Johnny Random, Peter Collins, Pez, Vincent Brennan, Fam Toonan, Phil. Who else? Chris Otterwell, Das Schaff. Who else have we got? Ian Lewis, Michael Dodds. How are you, Michael? So the usual crew, pretty much, it has to be said. Before we go any further, little bit of housekeeping. Greetings, Robsonites. I'm putting that up on screen. Robsonites makes me sound like some kind of I don't know, guru or something, doesn't it? Anyway, yes, the August the 27th get together. I'm getting a few more people coming. We're approaching double figures for the number of people who have said that they're going to turn up for a night on the beer and the curry with yours truly. Basically, while I think on Vincent Brennan has very, very kindly offered transport to anybody who's travelling down to Redcar from his kind of home area, which is, I believe, is sort of Lanarkshire, Scotland kind of locality. Yes, very much, Pez. Thank you very much, mate. So yeah, if you are in the sort of Lanarkshire type area and you need transport, get in touch with me via the website, which is linked in all of the descriptions to all of my videos. Just ping me a message on the contact page on the website, and I'll pass your details on to Vincent, and that will be very, very kindly appreciated. Good evening, Joe McCarthy. How are you, my friend? Long time no see. We must have a chat sometime, mate. Hope you're doing well. John, you'll have to do the absentees on the register detention. Anyway, let's just have another sup of beer. Which, by the way, this week is courtesy once again of Morrison's. their finest export lager. It's like the Harley Benton version of Carlsberg Export, basically, and very nice it is too. Anyway, what's on the channel this week? Well, I have, and I'm just looking for it. I can't find where I put it. Yes, that's something I want to show you in a minute. Where are we? Sunday's video is just me jamming over that Ionian mode chord sequence that we looked at on Wednesday, basically explaining how you use the Ionian mode to play solos with. Then on Monday, we are looking at a bit of Steely Dan, actually. I've had a couple of requests to do some Steely Dan stuff. I did do the solo from Kid Charlemagne, absolutely donkeys, years ago on the channel, and I don't know why it's never occurred to me to do another Steely Dan tune, but there's been a couple of requests, so I decided to cooperate. And this week on Monday, we're looking at the solo from Ricky Don't Lose That Number. Then on Tuesday, do you remember last Tuesday I did that video about my bucket list guitars, iconic instruments? I'm sure you all probably watched it. Iconic instruments that have made a big impression on me, that individual instruments played by specific players. Well, there was always going to be a part 2 of that video, because there were just so many great ones that I couldn't fit into the first 5. So it's going to be part 2 of that, 5 more iconic instruments that sort of shaped my musical tastes over the years. Then on Wednesday is the theory day at the moment, so I shall be continuing the 1 mode per week kind of thing this week. And this week it's all about the Lydian mode. It's basically the prog rock mode, as I called the video. Then on Thursday, a little bit of a review of a new toy. I'm going to be putting this under the microscope. A vintage tube overdrive pedal by Behringer. Yes, I wonder what that's supposed to emulate. Kind of a green overdrive pedal with T and 8 in the name of it. Find out more on Wednesday. On Thursday, and then, as I say, on Friday we're back on the beer again. So that's the week on John Robson Guitarist YouTube channel. Will you include SRV's number 1? You'll have to wait and see, mate. But what I will say is there may be a part 3 to that video. John, they've done something to the Galahad, so I'm on the Reichenbacher. Yeah, that's the other budget one. I haven't had Galahad in a while, actually. I started kind of getting it. It started tasting a bit metallic, and it was so I went on, I think, the Saint Etienne, but that's this. We're talking about Aldi brands of beer here, by the way. Lube streamer, not quite, Bob. Where are we? Let's have a look. See if we can put some more comments on the screen. There we go. Looking forward to that pedal review. Wonder if Behringer stuff is any good. I must admit, I mean, I hear a lot of people dissing Behringer equipment, saying it's cheap and nasty and it doesn't work and it's unreliable. I've never found it so. I've had a Behringer interface for a while now, just the basic U40 one, the the UMC22, little basic interface, costs about 40 quid, and it's as good as gold. And it just works. And, I mean, I don't want to give too much away in terms of the review of this pedal, but people talk about the build quality. Yes, it's made of plastic. It's not like a big lump of metal like a Boss pedal, but I mean, I'm a big lad. Do you know what I mean? I'm 5'19" and about 17, 18 stone, and I haven't managed to break it yet. So we shall see, basically. Um, what's that? John, could you please do your 5 favourite Quo songs one day? Yes. When I get back into my 5 favourite performances, which will probably be next week, I reckon, we shall be doing the Quo will be one of the artists I will be looking at. Anyway, excuse me, I need more drink. Here we go. The first one never lasts long, does it? And quite often the second one doesn't, and the third one can be, that we can say, 5 Quo songs, 1 riff. Yes, indeed. It's, but as they said, well, having a formula never hurt Coca-Cola, did it? Where are we? Any Steve Hillage fans out there? I don't know. It's that is a name that rings bells with me, but I'd be lying if I said I was familiar with his work. So yes, thank you for the reminder. I shall check out some Steve Hillage. Are you digging the new John Mayer stuff? I got to tell you, John Mayer is one of those players who ticks all of my boxes. Oh, hang on. Who ticks all of my boxes, and I should really, really like, but yet it just never quite adds up for me. I've just never really kind of got John Mayer. It never really clicks with me. I understand why people like him. He's a phenomenal guitar player, but music is a very personal thing, and his music doesn't really, kind of make the hairs on the back of my neck. Those few that are still there, it doesn't make them kind of stand on end and give me that excitement. So I don't know. I haven't really paid a lot of attention to his more recent stuff, I have to say. Question to the floor. Let's put this up on screen. Question to the floor. What VSTs do you use in your DW? I think you mean DAW. I got the free amplitude today. It sounds good. What lot do you use? Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying Amplitude. I've tried it a couple of times, and I really didn't get on with it. And the last review I gave Amplitude was a bit of a stinker. And the chaps from IK Multimedia got in touch with me and said, how about if we give you a free version of the fully functional, the max one or whatever it is? Would you do a review of that? So I said, well, okay. And they sent it to me, and it didn't work. And so, Amplitude is off the menu as far as I'm concerned. But one of my favourite VSTs is Blue Cat Freeamp. I tend to use that for all of the rhythm guitar stuff on all of the tracks that I record. The classic drive factory setting on Blue Cat Freeamp with a free red wires impulse response plugged in is an immense rhythm guitar sound, especially if you double track it. But for guitar sounds, just generally lead sounds and stuff, I'll either use Guitar Rig for the more high gain stuff, or I will probably end up using Positive Grid Bias Amp. There's a massive sound in there, Monster VH4, which is a model of a diesel VH4 amp, and it's like a Marshall JTM 45 that's had an extra Weetabix. It's just a big Marshall-y sound, but it never gets fizzy, and it never gets kind of tizzy and raspy sounding. It's a fantastic sound. So that's what I use. Anybody else got any tips? Let's have a look there. I use Native Instruments Complete 10NI. I think it's a mixture of Reaper and Machine for a DAW. Best new plugin was recommended by... okay. Well, thank you, Kieran. Yeah, the MT Power Drums It's not the most convincing drum plugin in the world, Drum VST. I much used to prefer for getting, kind of realistic sounding drum sounds. I used to use Cakewalk Studio Instruments back in the days when I was using Cakewalk. The drum kit in that was absolutely phenomenal, but it was so labor intensive having to create a drum part, and it was just so easy to do. You can get 90% as good result with MT power drums for 1% of the effort. Any further on with the mods on the SC552? No, not yet. I haven't touched it yet. But let me run down what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be putting some Cluson locking tuners on that are like a direct drop-in replacement for these Cluson style ones. Basically, I could put Grovers on or something like that, but you've got to drill holes and fill holes in and stuff like that. So I'm going to be putting some Cluson locking tuners on. And I don't know, it's I don't know what else I might need doing with it. I was thinking I might put some Vanson pickups in it, but I quite like these Tesla pickups because they don't sound like the Vansons. Not that I don't like the Vanson sound. Obviously, I've got them in my signature guitar, but these sound different. It's a different flavour of guitar. I think when I did the video about this, I said it's a great compliment to the old Blondie here. There she is. Look at that top. Isn't that lovely? It's just, now I've got this new webcam, you can see the top on this guitar a lot better. Look at the way that grain moves. Fantastic. Dan, you're an absolute artisan, mate, building that guitar for me. Thank you so much. John, there's a pedal on the market called Beat Buddy. It makes your guitar into a drum kit. Okay. That's got to be interesting. Superior drummer, are you, Steve? Yeah. Now, the thing, I've never used Superior Drummer, but I was talking to someone about it, and they basically told me it was quite. I don't know if this is true or not, but they were telling me it's quite sort of labor intensive, and there's a lot of it's easy to suffer from option anxiety on. Better top than your beer, John. That's for sure. I'm putting that on screen. Where are we? There we go. Better top than your beer, John. That's for sure. Flake, indeed. Yes. Mike from China Guitar Skeptic did me a nice little graphic for the Flake thing, and as soon as I figure out how to get that kind of stuff on screen, I'll start putting it up every time I pour a beer. Yeah, but Superior Drummer, I have heard that it's. It's huge and a lot of work to get set up. Yeah. You see, that's where maybe it's just because I'm getting old, but you get set into a certain way of doing things, and your workflow, is just, it's fast when you get into a certain way of doing things. You can't be bothered kind of, starting at the bottom of a learning curve with a new piece of kit for when something does what I need. Where are we? Let's put Joe up on screen. I looked into that SC552, but I'm finding a wee bit enamored with my Eastman SB59. Yeah, well, no surprises there, Joe. I mean, the Eastman guitars are, shall we say, several price points above Harley Benton guitars. I am looking at getting my hands on an Eastman. There are talks in progress, shall we say, about me having a loan of an Eastman to do some kind of video with. Be interesting to see, because I've heard literally nothing but good stuff about Eastman guitars. I have an Epi Les Paul Standard and not sure if an SC552 will be much of an upgrade. It depends, really. If you love your Epiphone Les Paul Standard, then that is, it depends how emotionally attached, how much emotional investment you have with your Epiphone. The stainless steel frets on the SC552, I would say, just kind of inch it forward by a short head. I would say, just stainless steel frets are nicer to play on. Well, they're not nicer to play on. You know when you get your guitar set up and the guitar tech does all the kind of polishes the frets up and gets them nice and kind of glassy and mirror-like. Well, that's how stainless steel frets always feel. Good evening, Bam Mozzie. How are you, mate? Nice to see you here. Let's just, thank you for dropping in, mate. Heard of Ert guitars? Their fretwork gets rave reviews. They're 200 quid for the base model. Thought of doing a review. Yeah, I've heard a few kind of whispers about Ert guitars. I think the first time I heard of them was on Mr. Braun's channel, Daryl. I think he mentioned them quite favourably at one point. And so looking into it, basically, we shall see. It's because gear reviews tend to be the big videos, the videos that get views on the channel. So I'm always up for a gear review. So I shall look into it. Stainless steel frets sound a little too clinical to me. I do know what you mean, mate. Yeah, they do add a bit of top end, but on a guitar that is quite off, on a style of guitar that is quite often notable for its its bassiness, shall we say, then that little bit of top end, it's just like, if you don't like it, just turn the presence or the treble down a bit on your amp, So, talking about frets, I am thinking about that Glary Telecaster that I've got there. I chickened out of doing the refret on that, but I am thinking about teaching myself to do a refret rather. Excuse me, that's the beer talking. John, did you know that Kent Armstrong was Dan Armstrong's son? Yes, I did. I had a bit of a conversation with Kent Armstrong many years ago. It was at one of these guitarist shows. Remember when Guitarist magazine used to do a little kind of mini NAMM type show every now and again? And he was there, kind of selling his pickups and selling his little effects units that used to plug directly into the jack socket on your guitar. Towman offer a Plex service. Any experience, John? No, I haven't. I've never knowingly, at least, played a guitar that's been plecked. The thing that, it doesn't concern me, but the thing the question that pops up in my head about plecking a guitar is that what you're doing is, kind of setting. Oh, thank you, John B. I'm just going to put that up on screen. You're a gentleman. Thank you so much. The question that raises in my head about plecked guitars, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you've got any experience of them, then please feel free to correct me. But what you're doing when you're plecking a guitar is you are setting everything up so that it's absolutely perfect to within, kind of really, really, really fine tolerances. And if you've got a guitar that's set up to that fine, that's so perfectly set up and it's really fine tolerance, what happens when you go from, kind of a really hot summer's day to, maybe the depths of November or something like that, when the temperature and humidity and everything are all completely different? I can see why it makes sense on a guitar that's, kind of done all of the kind of settling in that it's ever going to do, when it's absolutely kind of, when all the wood's all nice and dry and everything like that. But on a guitar that's still got a bit of movement left in it, it seems to me that it's if everything's set up to such close tolerances, then it's going to possibly cause problems. I don't know. Stainless steel frets and the Strat bridge pickup are definitely a no-go for you then, John. Yeah, Strat bridge pickup. That said, the Strat bridge pickup, pretty much I would say every Strat that I've played with a regular single coil bridge pickup has always sounded a bit too kind of ear-gratingly trebly for me. And then a little while ago, I had a classic vibe Strat in here for review, and that just wasn't. And it's not like it was, anything, kind of uber expensive and special. It was just a Squire, top end of the range Squire, but still just a Squire. Still, kind of what you would call a budget guitar, really. So that sort of surprised me a little bit. Sorted out the staggered pickups on the Harley Benton, where are we? HBDG57. Put a Vanson single coil in the bridge, in the words of my guitar tech. That's bloody loud. Okay. Good for you, mate. Yeah. A Plek machine makes sure that the frets are all perfectly level across all strings. It seems a bit like overkill. Yeah, it's one of those things, and it'll be interesting to see how the technology goes, because anything that starts off as an exclusive, expensive kind of service or product or whatever usually ends up becoming more and more affordable. I mean, the example I would give there is, I remember back in the 90s when amp modeling first became a thing. Roland were kind of advertising their whatever it was rack-mounted system that could supposedly kind of duplicate Marshall and Fender and Boogie and kind of Vox tones and everything. That was an expensive piece of kit, that rack kind of preamp effects unit. And nowadays you get that kind of technology in a practice amp. So it'd be interesting to see if that sort of technology if that does kind of get cheaper, and what effect it will have. I had Sweetwater Plecker guitar. Let's put these on screen. I keep forgetting I can do that. I had Sweetwater Plecker guitar for me. I find my own setups are just as good from my perspective. Yes, well, that's fair enough, Joe. But then again, you are a trained luthier, mate. Do you know what I mean? I suppose there's a parallel here, with cars, isn't there? Once upon a time, a mechanic had to be able to listen to an engine and be able to hear when it was absolutely tuned perfectly and just kind of dial it in. It was no substitute for experience. Nowadays you just plug in a laptop and dial it in. It's. And again, that technology has got a lot cheaper. I've just got the Thomas Blue guitar floor amp. Had it a week now, and you can get some great tones out of it. If I'm looking forward to gigging it tomorrow. Okay, a nice one, Craig. Good that you're out gigging again, mate. Now that such things are allowed again. Say no more. Plex sounds great, but I can do a refret level and dress and produce a very playable guitar. Good enough for me. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I am with it. I've just through, practice and experience and messing up a lot of guitars along the way, I've taught myself to do, kind of fret dresses and setups on guitars. The way I always viewed it was, well, this guitar is kind of fret buzzing and choking out and sound and horrible. It needs a fret dress, and I would take it to the guitar tech and they would do it and it would be fine. And then I had a go at doing it myself and messed it up the first time, as you do. And then so I took it to the guitar tech and he sorted it out for me, but it didn't cost me any more after my kind of bodge job of it than it did without me doing that. So I thought, well, if it's going to cost me that much to get it put right anyway, I might as well practice on a few guitars over time and learn how to do it. And that's what I've done. So, just practice and experience. And nowadays, when you can buy, a cheap guitar for like 70 or 80 quid, Glary or Gear for Music or any of those brands like that, when they're that cheap, it's, when you can buy an entire new guitar for roughly the same cost as taking a guitar in to get fret dressed, it's worth doing that just to kind of, get the practice at doing it and learn how to do it for yourself, become self-sufficient. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat here. Where are we? Okay, dokie. Oh, yes, by the way, mentioned earlier, I was meant to mention earlier, rather, we have a rather interesting video coming up soon on the channel. Can't really pin you down on a date yet, but one of the regular crew there, Malcolm Spillett, he's been sending me some lovely pictures of his guitar collection. So we're going to be doing a Zoom call with Malcolm, and he's going to be telling us all about his wonderful guitars. Lots of guitars from sort of pretty much every area of the price point of the price spectrum. So I don't know if we'll get through all of his guitars. That might be a bit of a long video, but watch out for that one. Thank you for the pictures, Malcolm. I've been enjoying looking at them. Indeed, Mr. McCarthy. Yes. There are so many how-to videos on YouTube these days. Why not try working on your own guitars these days? Yes, indeed. It's one thing when you're kind of reading it from a book or a magazine or something, but when someone's actually showing you how to do it, then it's the best way of learning. And why wouldn't you want to be self-sufficient? And as I say, you can buy a cheap guitar to practice these things on, much, kind of for like 70 or 80 quid. Since we went in depth with 10cc a few weeks back, is it too early to mention Bad Company? There is a Bad Company solo coming soon, and I am going to be doing a Bad Company top 5 at some point. So no, Jason, it's not too soon to mention Bad Company. Excuse me, my glass appears to be empty, and that just will not do. Dear me, we're only halfway through the stream, and I'm more than halfway through me beer. Yes. Good job there's a kebab turning up later to soak some of this up. Oh dear me, does anybody want to say the word Flake? Look at that, that's appalling. That's an appalling pour of beer, isn't it? Once again, if there are any transatlantic viewers confused by the term flake, when you pour a pint of beer with a head like that, it ends up looking a bit like an ice cream with a nice, with a kind of big white head on it. And we have a tradition in the UK of putting a flake chocolate bar into an ice cream. So that's what that's all about. It doesn't sound funny when you explain it, but it's one of those things that loses something in translation. Yes, here we go. Flake, double flake. Double flake. Can't beat a nice doner kebab. Yes. The thing about doner kebab is that there's something weird about doner kebab, in that it tastes pretty revolting until you've had beer on your taste buds, and then it tastes delicious. Dave, mate, let's put you up on screen there. Oh, no, wrong one. Sorry. Needs a double flake with that one. Yes. Sorry, the chat's moving too fast. I think this is the right one. Always wanted to see Bad Company live, but missed their tours back in the day. Well, there is, or there has been until recently, a touring version of Bad Company. I think, well, it's definitely still Paul Rodgers, and I think Simon Kirke might be involved as well. but it's who's on guitar with them? Howard Leese, if you remember him from the 80s incarnation of Heart. I learned how to pour beer when I worked for Anheuser-Busch, but I don't drink. Well, I'll have yours, Joe. I have to say, I'm not a, if your only experience of John Robson's YouTube channel is the Friday night live stream, you probably think I'm a functioning alcoholic or something, but I don't tend to drink other than like on a weekend. It's I know some people who have like a beer or several every evening. That's not me. I just you are fired, Joe. Well, go and have your breakfast, mate. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, so it's I'm not trying to sort of justify anything here. I do enjoy a beer on a Friday. It's part of what I look forward to about a weekend. Mick Ralph's had a stroke and can't play. Oh, it's such a shame. I never tasted a kebab sober until my mid-40s. Completely different experience now. Yes, as I say, see you on the return there, Joe. Enjoy your breakfast, mate. Oh, Pablo Hanks in. Let's put him up on screen. This is a bit of a novelty for me, being able to put the comments up on screen. I must admit, I'm really, really enjoying this StreamYard service. I think, and it was so easy to set up. Literally, after the whole shenanigans with Zoom earlier on, where it was just, shall we say, not cooperating. 15 pints and a parmo with Donna Meat can't beat it. Yeah, it gets a bit messy the next day, though, doesn't it? Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you, JT. I meant to mention that earlier. Thank you for reminding me. It was such sad news this week. Yes, we lost Dusty Hill. And it's just one of those things. You tend to think, and we had a bit of a run of this a few years back, didn't we? When we lost Lemmy and we lost, David Bowie, and we lost, that whole slew of, what's he called? Fast Eddie Clark. He went as well. And, we seem to have that bit of a slew of it a little while ago, where we lost a lot of iconic rock stars, and it brought it home to me then that these guys are not immortal, and it was Dusty Hill and Joey Jordison. Yes, I must admit I was never a big Slipknot fan, but it's such a sad thing. So sad about Dusty. He was only 2 years older than me. Well, yeah, but when your number's up, mate, innit? Yeah, Lemmy, Bowie, and Prince in the space of 4 months. It was a bit of a kind of a hard time, that, wasn't it? When all of these iconic rock stars left. And as I was saying, you tend to kind of see these people on screen, and you listen to their music and you see their videos and stuff, and you tend to think of them as being, something other than human, and then it's such a shock when you realize that they're not. No matter how much intellectually you know that, they're just flesh and blood, the same as all of us. It's just when they go, it kind of. It can, and it's that realization. I remember when we lost Gary Moore 10 years more ago, and that realization there would never be another Gary Moore album. There would never be another two. You'd never be able to go and see him live again. That was just so shocking, Yes, I must agree with that. Some Slipknot okay, like Stone Sour more. I don't know if any of you saw, but and I apologise, I can never remember the guy's name, but the lead singer from Slipknot, also Stone Sour, he appeared on a British TV kind of comedy quiz show, panel show kind of thing called QI a few years ago. And he was one of the funniest guys I've ever seen. You know, just so witty and on it, you know, and not at all what you expect. Let's put it that way. You know, very, very, very kind of, you know, learned, let's say. Corey Taylor, thank you. Yes, thank you. I knew it was Corey something, but for the life of me, I couldn't think of his surname. Yeah, he appeared on this QI quiz show, and you know, he surprised me with just how. Maybe it's a bit condescending to say that about, you know, oh, well, you don't expect a heavy metal, you know, kind of band member to be that intelligent. That's not what I mean. It's just you don't expect him to be, you know, as softly spoken as he was. Let's put it that way. Keith is dead, but just doesn't know it. Yes, yeah, that reminds me of an old Spitting Image skit from back in the 80s where, you know, Keith Richards turns up to it with all of his rock star mates for a night out, and there was Rod Stewart, and there was Elton John and Mick Jagger, and, you know, all of the kind of rock glitterati, you know, from that period. And they're saying, Keith, what are you doing here? You're dead. Am I? Oh, I didn't realise that. You know, and it was kind of a riff on that sort of thing. What's that? Where are we? Yes, Robin Trower is my biggest inspiration as a guitar player. Amazing how active he is at his age. I try to catch him every tour while I can. Yeah, I mean, Bridge of Sighs is just one of those great albums, isn't it? You know, I can't honestly say I'm that familiar with much else of his stuff, but that album does get an airing every now and again. Slash is an expert on dinosaurs. I didn't know that. But if you've ever seen the I think it's just called Lemmy, the movie. Lemmy was an absolute world authority on World War II militaria, you know. So much so that, like, he would be watching something about, you know, Panzer tanks or Lancaster bombers or something on a documentary on the Discovery Channel or something like that, and he would kind of say, "No, that's wrong," you know, and he would be taking issue with the documentary makers. Okay, Bob. Yeah, I'm a massive Walter Trout fan as well. My first ever experience of Walter Trout, and it's got to be up on YouTube somewhere. I must do a video about this gig. There was a John Mayer, beg your pardon, John Mayer, video on Channel 4 back in the 80s at some point, 86 or 87. It was called Live at the Maintenance Shop. John Mayall's Blues Breakers live at the Maintenance Shop. It was one of these things that was on like midnight on Channel 4 back then. And that was the first time I heard Walter Trout. And I was just absolutely blown away. Coco Montoya was the other guitarist in the band at the time, and Coco was having all kinds of problems with his rig. He just wasn't getting a sound. You could see how frustrated he was. So Walter ended up taking loads and loads of solos, and what a player, what an absolute player, you know, just absolutely killer player. Lemmy also toured with a collection of slot machines. I didn't know that. I do know that, like, when he was like really, really ill, you know, kind of in his final days, as they say, they took his favorite slot machine from the Rainbow, you know, the famous LA hangout. They took that into his hospital room just so he could play, you know. So just, I guess that's what it's like when you're Lemmy. If you haven't seen the eulogy that Dave Grohl did for Lemmy at Lemmy's funeral, watch it. It is one of the most funny and moving things that you will ever witness. Funny because of the anecdotes that Dave tells about Lemmy, but also just so moving because of just the bond that they formed, you know, and how gutted that Dave was about losing such a close friend. So, does anyone know anything about the? Let's put this up on the screen. I keep forgetting I can do this. Sorry, wrong one again. Wish you would come to my neck of the woods. Where are we? So, does anyone know anything about the custom branded guitars from Japan? I gotta say, I don't know about them at all. It's a new one on me. Does anybody else have any any info on those? It's again, I can't remember. Somebody else has mentioned them, so they are a name that's sort of ringing bells in the back of my head, but I can't honestly say that I have any experience of them or know anybody who has. I watched it live. Dave was amazing. It was like you were there. Yes, indeed, mate. Can't be downing a bottle of whiskey every day, though. He couldn't cut back like that. Yeah, that was it. He was a kind of bottle of Jack Daniels a day kind of guy, wasn't he? You know, and it's going to take its toll. So there you go. I want to play a guitar with a roasted maple neck to see what the fuss is all about. I don't think you'll notice any difference, mate. You know, the thing about... Oh, thank you, Das. Let's put you up on screen, mate. There you go. That will find its way, obviously, to Zoe's place. That is very, very generous of you. You are a gentleman and a scholar, sir. The thing about roasted maple necks is that, like I was talking earlier on about when we were talking about Flake guitars, they've basically done all of the kind of shrinking and moving and, you know, kind of settling in that they're ever going to do. So it's going to be stable. You're never going to have to worry about fret sprout when the climate kind of changes, when the weather gets from hot to cold or cold to hot or anything like that. I've been around long enough to sort of recognise the kind of the fashion aspect of the guitar industry. It's for me, I'm not saying that there aren't any virtues to the roasted maple necks, far from it, but it does seem to be that kind of thing now, that it's a little bit like brass was in the late 70s. You know, you had to have a brass nut, you had to have a brass bridge, you had to have... I'm surprised nobody ever came up with brass strings. The Yamaha SG 2000, wasn't it, that had like a brass block that they inserted into the body that the bridge sat in, and brass, everything had to be brass. And roasted maple to me just has that kind of feel about it. It's like just the latest flavour of the month, and then, you know, a couple of years' time it'll be something different. Dave Grohl made a great documentary called Sound City, well worth a watch. Yes. Any tips for starting slide playing, says Ian Lewis. Thank you very much, by the way. Yes, that will go to Zoe's place as well. Thank you so much. Oh, hang on. Excuse me, I'm still getting the hang of this. Slide playing. I did a sort of an introductory video on slide playing a while ago. I can't remember what it was called, but if you just search my channel for John Robson slide guitar, or search YouTube for that, for slide guitar, you'll find it, and it's got all of the sort of tips in there about how to kind of damp the strings, and, you know, all the sort of usual sort of things from slide playing. I also do a very reasonably priced course on slide guitar playing. So if you're interested in that, I think it's called Slide Guitar Made Easy. It's up on Udemy, so check it out. I'm convinced my brass knobs did change the tone of my guitar. John, have you ever listened to J.J. Cale? I recently discovered his music. Eric Clapton adored him. Cale wrote Cocaine and Clapton nicked it. Yes, I'm very familiar with J.J. Cale. I've been working on one of his songs, They Call Me the Breeze, with one of my students lately. And it's fantastic. It's just, if anybody's not familiar with J.J. Cale, think very early Dire Straits, that kind of laid back, gritty blues rock with that kind of growly sort of early Knopfler vocal. Yeah, Gordon Smiths do use a brass nut, indeed, Codzilla. So yeah, I mean, J.J. Cale, he's one of those guys who should be a little bit like John Martin, should be more kind of like a household name, but just for some reason isn't. Perhaps it's often good though, isn't it, that your favorite artist perhaps isn't a household name, because that makes them special to you. Slide guitar, normally you retune, am I right? You can't. Yeah, I mean, a lot of slide guitar players do tune to like open chords, open G or open E, but when I play slide guitar, it's always in standard tuning. As I said in the video that I did, it's because the notes are all where I left them. John, how did you rate Cliff Burton? Fantastic, mate, fantastic. I mean, who doesn't love a bit of Gene Vincent, and that guitar tone, it's one of my favorite Jeff Beck albums, actually, Crazy Legs, which people often say is a tribute to Gene Vincent. It isn't. It's a tribute to Cliff Burton, and Jeff Beck playing in that sort of Cliff Burton style. Absolutely fantastic. Where are we? Is that the same Call Me the Breeze that Skinner did? I don't know, honestly. Perhaps I'm a bit of a Philistine, but, when it comes to Lynyrd Skynyrd, it's kind of Simple Man, Sweet Home Alabama, Free Bird, and then I'm starting to kind of run out of knowledge after those. Keb Mo is another great one. Yeah, Keb Mo. First saw him on a televised, I think it was the Cambridge Folk Festival of all things, that was on TV in the UK a few years ago. And Joan Armour Trading was on the same set. Never heard of him before, and was just absolutely transfixed. Come on then, who's going to say Flake? There we go. After Midnight is also a great J.J. Cale tune. Indeed it is, yeah. That's how I sort of discovered him, by reading the sleeve notes or whatever on Clapton albums, After Midnight, and various other things. And that's how I discovered him. And then you kind of do a little bit of digging. I remember getting a J.J. Cale album out of the local library, the local book library, back in the days when libraries used to kind of rent out vinyl LPs, and that's probably the first. There we go. Here we go. Yes, all the Flake comments. Grover make a replacement temporary nut that is great for slide guitar. Have you ever tried one? No. When I want to raise the action for playing slide, all I do is I just get a business card and fold it up and stick it under the strings at the nut, and that raises the action just enough. Obviously, that knackers your open strings. You can't play open strings like that, but then again, that's not something I, worry too much about when I'm playing slide guitar. But if I just kind of hang back like that, you can see the Frankenstein Telecaster on the wall there. That one that looks like it's got a relic job. It's not a relic job. It's just my ham-fisted attempt at a refinish. I have that set up now with a higher action for slide guitar. Yeah, my era was tapes from the library. Can you get plain chocolate flakes for a Guinness? Doesn't matter whose business card it is. It's usually one of mine, Ozzy, because I keep getting business cards and then, just have nobody to hand them out to. View on alternate tunings. The only one I regularly use, to be honest, is OpenG, and that's when I just want to do a little bit of Keith stuff. John may have missed it, but I just got an Harley Benton SC552, and I'm amazed by it. What are your thoughts on this new model? One of these, it's an absolute belter of a guitar, mate. I had, shall we say, another Les Paul copy in here very recently, a few months ago. A Les Paul copy that has actually the right to put Les Paul on the headstock, made by a company whose name begins with E and ends in Piffone. And this Harley Benton is half the price, and it's twice the guitar. There you go. And I know there's going to be people calling me a Harley Benton shill. I'm used to it. Why not the Plus, John? I don't know. I just saw this and I saw the spec for it and I thought, oh, hello, stainless steel frets, and it was just the one that grabbed me attention and made me curious. So that's why I got this one. I know is the Plus the one with the EMG pickups? It is, Ian. Yeah, gorgeous top, mate. John, you've played the SC550 and the vintage VC100. I have the latter. What differences did you find? Well, the vintage V100, which is the one I think you might mean, I had that. Dear me, that was back in 2013 or 14 or thereabouts. So there's been a bit of a gap between me owning both guitars. The vintage was a lovely guitar, and it was, out of all of the single cut guitars I'd had up to that point, it was the one that I almost bonded with the most. But, I don't know. I do have a bit of a comparison video coming up shortly between, let me show you it again, the Harley Benton SC550 and the vintage V100. So be interesting to see how that comes out. What Clusons are you going to put on the SC550, John? I think they're called the Revolution ones, or Revelation, or something like that. They're basically a locking tuner, direct drop-in for the for Cluson style tuners like that. I'm also going to be putting a string butler on it. I look forward to John Robson, guitarist, acquiring a Gretsch 6120. Yes. That'll be the day. I knew John Martin, he could change from the nicest guy in the pub to a nutter in a split second. Yeah, well, some people are afflicted like that, aren't they? Anyway, chaps, my stomach is telling me that it's time to go and order the kebab. So I'm going to call time on the stream right now. Thank you once again, everyone, for turning up. And once again, sorry about... What about Raikuda? Yeah. Well, what can I say? What a question to chuck at me in my final few seconds. Yes, there will be some Raikuda content coming up at some point, I promise you. Anyway, I'm going to go and get me kebab now. Thank you once again, everyone, for turning up. Massively, massively fun as ever. I see there's 170 of you who've given up an hour of your Friday night to watch a fat, bald northern lad talk cobblers for an hour. I'm incredibly grateful. Let's keep doing it until you all get sick of it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say, time, gentlemen, please.